everybody, Z Garcia here, and welcome back to another Dice Tower review. I am joined by
Camilla Cleghorn
and
Mike DeLisio.
Hello!
That threw me
Trifecta of evil.
Whoa!
We're going to be the zombie heroes for this one,
What?
and we're talking about Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance in this game, based and inspired by Zombicide. You have, of course, the Marvel Universe, and you are heroes fighting off an invasion of zombies. Some of those invaders are, of course, heroes themselves that have been bitten and have turned. They're now fighting you.
Say it ain't so.
It is so. So, in this game, you are looking at a production from Spin Master Games, primarily working with Simon. There will be another game, kind of, coming out primarily from Simon with their usual deluge of plastic miniatures that is going to feature largely sort of the same game system with more stuff. This one is smaller. 4 map boards, fewer miniatures, fewer missions, that sort of thing. So this is what we're covering. If you already know Zombicide, you're going to know a little bit of what's in here, but there's some twists. So let me show you what comes in here, give you a general overview of the gameplay, and we'll be right back. To set up the game, the first thing we need to do is select what scenario we are going to play, what mission. And this is right now mission 1 right here called Outbreak. And you're going to set up the board as it says in the rulebook, put out the tokens where needed, and then it explains, of course, the objective. In this case, we need to gather all of the objectives, which are these crates scattered throughout the map, and then we need to rescue Pepper Potts, who is one of these bystanders face down around the board. There are 4. We make sure she's seated among these 4. And then you are ready to begin. So everybody is going to pick a character. We've got here, you always need to do 4, no matter how many people are playing at the table. And we've got Vision over here, the Hulk. We've got Black Panther. We've got Wasp. And there are also Winter Soldier and Spider-Man, who are not in this play, but you've also got them as choices. Everybody gets one of these dials for experience points. That begins at 0. Full health tracked here with one of these plastic clips. And then over here is their energy, their power, which begins at the bottom of each of those. So each round is going to go through 3 phases. The first phase is the player phase, where all the players will, in any order they want to, activate and take actions. Then we go to the enemy phase, where the zombies will do their thing and will spawn new ones. And then the end phase, where normally not a lot happens unless something says, during the end phase, this thing takes place. All right, so we all begin here, as it says in the rule book there. You can see here we've got minis for the heroes, but the zombies will be cardboard standees like these over here. So you'll just set those out, and it'll be hard to see from this angle up top, but I'll show you those as they come up. So here we go. At the beginning of the player phase, the very first thing is all the players increase their power tracks. So it means everyone is going to gain 1 power, so we all scoot up the power tracker here on the side by 1. Once that's all done, then we refresh activation tokens, which are these tokens here. After everybody takes a turn, they will flip this face down to let you know, hey, I've already gone this round. But they're all ready to go right now. And then we activate our superheroes. We can decide again in what order we want to do this, and once you're done, then you'll flip that face down. You are going to get 3 actions initially in the game. The actions can be used for these following things. You can move. You can move from one place to an adjacent place. There are rooms in these buildings, often locked up by doors. Right now, there's a door there, and so on. And then the streets are broken up by the crosswalks. So for one action, again, they could go here. Another action is you can open a door. If you open a door, you are going to select a door you're sharing a space with. Open that door. We'll put a token on that door to denote it has been opened, like this. You'll just cover that up. And then we need to spawn in this area anywhere there's that symbol. And then once that's all done, reveal any bystanders hanging out in there. So that's your second option. Third option, you can gain a trait. Gaining a trait means drawing one of these heroic trait cards. You can only do this one once per round. And it's going to give you some ability that you are going to gain, keep with you, and then use once in the game whenever you want to. You can have up to 2 of these banked,
and as you spend them, they go away. So for example, inspirational here says, discard during your turn and spend 1 power to have another hero within range 1 of you immediately perform 1 free action. You inspire them. And there are quite a few of these. So agile, discard when enemies enter your zone, immediately move 1 zone, ignoring enemies. That sort of thing is what you'll find in this deck. New abilities for you to utilize, and that is gaining a trait. Next up, you can power up. Power up is an action you trade for 2 power ticks here, up on the slider. You do gain 1 every time, but you might need a little more, so you can do a power up action. You can rescue a bystander if you are with them, and there are no enemies in that space. You can rescue that bystander. If you rescue them, you take the card. The card will give you some permanent ability as opposed to these, which are 1 shot. And rescuing one immediately fills your power tracker all the way to the top. You can interact with an objective. These objectives usually are the ones you interact with as you take these things, which is part of our mission here. You gain, as it says in the rulebook, 5 experience points. The rest of the experience points will come from taking out zombies. And then lastly, you can, of course, attack. The attack is the big one. For right now, there are no zombies on the board, but eventually they will show up, all right? So once all the players have all activated, then we do the enemy phase in which all the enemies activate. There are 3 general kinds of enemies. We've got the walkers here, who are sort of the chump minions of the zombies. They are going to activate once, and they take a single hit to take out. So, for example, if this zombie was here, to activate means attack if they can in their area. If they cannot, then move 1 closer towards whoever they can see that is closest. So in this case, they would go from here to there. So that is the zombie walkers. Then we've got the brutes. The brutes are the heavy hitters. They are these guys. They still only have 1 activation, but they take 2 hits to take out. And then we've got the runners. The runners are these. They are going to be easy to take out. A single hit will do it, but they activate twice each round. So that means if this runner begins here, they check first when activated if they can attack anyone. They cannot. They move for the first activation. Then they check again. Can they attack now? Yes, they can. They're going to provide 1 hit. All these heroes get to decide who takes that hit, which they'll track up here on their life tracker. Being aware that if anyone dies, the game is over, and you win by, of course, completing your objective. So those are the 3 standard zombies, but of course, we've also got some superheroes that have turned zombie, and you've got special cards for that, and 4 that come in the box. You've got here Iron Man, who's turned into a zombie, so he might show up and be a little bit tougher to take down. We've got Doctor Strange right here. And each of these is going to have their own abilities and their own health that you need to whittle down. We've got here Black Widow. And then lastly, Captain America. Not Cap. Cap has turned 2. So there we go. Those 4 would be the zombie heroes. And they might show up in the game as cards bring them out. So I've explained the player phase, enemy phase, activate them, and then once you've activated everyone, you activate bystanders that have been revealed. They try to move towards heroes unless they would walk into zombies. And then we spawn new enemies. To spawn, we are going to select all of these spawn points and flip a card to see what shows up. So over here, for example, is where we begin with the 1. You flip over a card and it tells you what spawns there. In this case, walkers. And you see here numbers down the side. This ties to the level at which the heroes are currently sitting. Every time we gain 1 of these objectives, we're going to get 5 XP. And every time we take out a zombie of any kind, we get 1 XP. Unless it's a zombie hero, in which case you get a little bit more. As you track that, you're going to move up your dial here. And as that dial crosses into new areas, you A, unlock new abilities, as listed on your sheet. But B, now the spawning checks for a new condition, a new level. So at the beginning of the game, this will spawn 3 walkers right in there. But if someone has crossed over into the yellow area, then this will spawn 5, and so on down the line there. So this would spawn there. We do so. We discard the card, and we check the next one clockwise, which would be this one here. That's some more walkers. In this case, they show up and then they rush. So they spawn, then immediately activate and move in here to try to go after Black Panther. And then we spawn in this one where we put out a brute who also happens to rush. He shows up, then moves in here trying to get to these heroes. But in this deck, we've also got the zombie heroes, like this card here that says you spawn one zombie hero, and when you do this one, when this shows up, then we draw a zombie hero card and we see who we get. Oh, Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch has 3 health, and you need to do all of this damage in a single attack, which I'll talk about. And then some ability. Superheroes must re-roll all hits while in her zone. That's pretty nasty. So she's going to be tricky and difficult to take down. So there's one of each of those for the different zombie heroes in the game. Once that's all done and everyone has shown up, then we do the end phase and we go back to the next turn in which we reset ourselves, gain a power, and we do it again. So, combat. Let's talk about combat a little bit. Let's say we indeed did have some zombies show up, and we've got a couple of walkers here hanging out with Black Panther, and we've got one zombie runner. So Black Panther is going to make an attack. We take a look at Black Panther right over here. All of the heroes are going to have an ability, their main attack. In this case, Vibranium Claws. It tells you the ranged, in this case melee, so 0. The number of dice you'll roll, 2. And then the number you hit on, in this case 3 or better. So he would roll these dice, and for every 3 or better, assign a hit. The characters he's dealing with right now all take a single hit. If there was a brood in there, that takes 2 hits. And the zombies do protect each other. So if there was, for example, a hero in that space, a zombie hero in that space, then you must assign hits to the zombie hero first. So if I roll a single hit, which will not be enough to take them down, I cannot just assign it to another character in there. So zombie heroes will protect everyone, and then brutes protect the walkers and the runners, and the walkers protect the runners. So hits here must go 1, 2, lastly, the runner right here. However, before I choose to roll and make this attack, I can spend my power to roll extra dice. So Black Panther could spend the 1 power they've got right now and roll an extra die for this attack. So they would roll this, we would check, 3s or better hit, so 2 hits there. I remove these 2 from the board, and they gain 2 XP here on their dial. They would go up 2, and that would be their action. They could do it again if they have actions left, and that is true for all of the characters. We do have, of course, differences between them. For example, Vision here is ranged. They could attack in their own space or ranged 1. So Vision could shoot into this space with his beam, his energy beam. And then we've got Hulk, who rolls for 3 and hits, rolls 3 dice, hits on 4s or better. They all have an ability they begin with. So Hulk has Gamma Rage here. He has 5 health. Everybody else has 3, as you can see. And at the start of each of his turns, he's going to gain 1 power for each wound he has suffered. So as he gets hurt, he gets angrier, gets more power. Makes sense. So there we go. We are, of course, trying to find Pepper Potts. That's not Pepper Potts. So if I had gone in there first, I could have rescued Sharon Carter, but that's not my objective. Still, you want to keep these characters safe because you'll suffer penalties if you lose them. And that's the game. That's how that's going to work out. Explore, open up these rooms and spawn in them, take out the zombies, level up, and ultimately try to complete your objective, which in this case is finding Pepper Potts and then leaving through that exit space. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and go back up top.
All right, so there we go. That is Marvel Zombies, Heroes Resistance. Let's talk about this. I think we should just jump in from that very thing I said at the beginning, Spin Master, Simon, that relationship, and therefore where this product falls. This is basically a mass market edition of one of Simon's, core products. tied together with Marvel, which is extremely popular right now. So the production here is going to have different aspirations, have different reasons for being. So we should talk about that and how we felt about it. What did you guys think of, component-wise, what comes in the box?
Well, since this is, as you said, being targeted to a mass market audience, I feel like the components, if anything, are a step above what they're likely to find in a a big box store. The game's there. The minis that are in the game are quite well done.
Yeah.
The cardboard standees are perfectly serviceable. The cards are good quality. The dials are all good. I think that for the market, this is above average quality on components.
Right. You're getting 8 missions in here, plus an intro one, which is like I learned to play. So technically 9 missions. That's a good amount of variety, for what you're getting. And again, the package, if anything, the one thing I have an issue with is the box I wish was a little bit bigger. It's hard to get everything back in here, especially if you're leaving the standees on their stands. Dumping it all back and pushing it all down, it's a bit much. If this was a bit deeper, that would help out a lot. But I get it. You can get more at this size on a pallet than not. I get that. So
yeah, just kind of piggyback off both those comments. I think that, as you said, this is that mass market kind of appeal that it's going for, but it is based on, the regular Zombicide's more of the hobby gaming. And I think that they were really smart in the way they included the miniatures and the standees. I think the miniatures are great molds. They look great. They have unique poses. They really capture the individual personality of the heroes, right? But then for all the walkers and all the runners and the brutes and people that the mass market are used to standees. So it's also kind of brings that level of comfort, something they know, but also opens that window a little bit to be like, see what the gaming can be. And so I really feel like it kind of almost gave a kind of gateway or a window opening experience for non-gamers to kind of see what the hobby can be and, might lead them more into it as they do the research there.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. It's like its own bridge, within the same box to sort of have the what you could be playing with, and that's interesting. Not that I think this needs to be a stepping stone. No. This is fine as it is. This is not, baby's first Marvel Zombies, and you're expected to level up from it. You do not need to do that. I think this is completely fine and complete as it stands. But yes, I could see that point being, something interesting. Now, mechanically, this has gone through, Zombicide has gone through a lot of evolutions.
Yes.
There's been a lot of them from the first one all the way to, funny enough, second edition happens to be the one that just came out, but there's a lot in between those two things. I think this one continues to evolve on that. In some ways, simplifying the system, which is great, and sort of streamlining that system. And I like what they've done with it. The game feels easier to get into right now. This idea of having all your powers written out on your hero boards, whereas before it was a keyword, and you'd have to go look what that thing meant in the book, and there was a bank of them. I mean, so many of them. So now they tell you exactly what it does, right on the card. The idea of hero traits, I really like that. I like that you can just do that action, grab one. You have an ability. One time you can cash that in and do it, and then you get a new one. So you could be this round. You could discard one you've got and be beefy and be strong. The next one might be a sneaky sort of one.
Right.
And I like it. It doesn't encapsulate you as being like, oh, you're the sneaky character.
Right.
Stick with that. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to come up into a bunch of zombies and fight. Do just sneaky stuff. Now you can slide in and out of them all,
Right.
And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I think I liked the fact that you have your one main power, at the beginning when you're at the lowest level, and you have a chance to kind of play into that and get it before you start leveling up. But then also having the versatility or variability, if you will, of those one-time uses that come in. It's an action on your turn, you get it, and you can kind of bank it there until it comes into play. And I really thought that brought some flexibility to the game without, like you said, kind of having those just static powers. You have your static powers still, but it's just one thing to kind of go down, but then you have that versatile one, that's coming through. Or maybe you don't get them. I mean, I would highly recommend it. I think they very much enhance the gameplay and make you powerful, but just having that variability, and it really brought something unique to it.
And then variability is important because one of what I think is the weaker elements of the game is that your base powers are all very, very similar. And so if you want the Hulk at the beginning of the game to play dramatically differently to Spider-Man, you may be a little disappointed because one might be called Smash and one might be called Web Slinger. I'm just making those up.
Right.
But you're essentially doing the same thing. You're rolling the same number of dice with the same number to hit
More
on.
or less, yeah.
Right. So those traits are important to kind of add a little bit of differentiation to it because there's not a lot, a couple of the characters are ranged.
Yeah.
That's really, other than that, there's not a lot of variability among the heroes. So.
Right.
But I do like that those powers along the side.
Yes.
And again, this is just something that Zombicide has always done, but it almost fits well with the idea of this being the Zombicide for everyone. I do like that you begin with just the one at the top, usually a very simple power.
Right.
And eventually, as you warm up to the game, you get the turn structure down, you understand what's happening, you then unlock new ones naturally from taking out zombies. So you're not overwhelmed at the beginning.
Right.
I do not have to sit you down and teach you 12 keywords and their meanings and timing implications. It's who do you like from Marvel? You want to be the Hulk? Fine, you're the Hulk. Here you go. Boom. You're beefy. You can take more hits than everybody else. That's obvious because there's a 5 on your card. Here's some dice. Roll them, and you'll unlock everything else as you understand what's happening. I think that's really good. And again, that's what I mean by that sort of simplicity that has been almost, they've stripped away too much overhead from the game and given you this. What did you guys think of the theme and the way it's being utilized here?
I really thought it was good. I think that they're smart. They included characters, me who is kind of a baby in the Marvel universe, if you will, you know what I mean? Like, I enjoy it, but I've not geeked out, not read the comics, but I know all the characters, and I think it was really neat, too, how they have some of the bigger ones, Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, I'm missing one.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, thank you, who are the zombie versions of them. And those suckers are hard, but they should be. You know what I mean? Like, they really wrecked us. If you watch our live play, a Scarlet Witch just wrecked us for like 3 turns in a row.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I really thought that was interesting. Going into this, I didn't realize that those characters would be zombies, would be fighting against them. And so I just think that was really well done. Very interesting. We're not fighting. It's not Marvel fighting the zombie apocalypse.
Generic zombies. Yeah, that's not as fun, right?
Yeah.
You got to have some known named characters on both sides.
Right.
Yes.
And I will say, and I think as you looked at their powers and the way they fought back, there is, again, that kind of personality into it in what they do.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I agree with you because I'm also not the biggest Marvel fan, and I knew all these characters, and so that was a bonus. To me, where I think the theme comes through best is in the structure of those missions. Because the actual gameplay itself, as you mentioned, is really Zombicide at its heart, right? And so does it really matter if you are Hulk or if you're a wizard or whatever?
It does matter, Mike, but go on.
It matters in this because of the theme. But those missions, I think it's where that comes through, right? Is because, you're sneaking through Oscorp, or you're, you know what I mean?
To rescue Pepper Potts,
right,
or
that
whatever,
type of
which
thing.
you saw,
Right, I think that's where the theme comes through the most.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, there we go. That is Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. Final thoughts, guys. Anything final you want to mention, and then a score? Ladies first.
Hi, me first. Okay. This one was a little bit difficult for me because I'm okay with Marvel. You know what I mean? I'm getting more into it as I'm watching the movie. I am catching up slowly. And Zombicide, I didn't have a lot of experience coming into it, But I also really respect what they're doing here, taking the big CMON one, trying to do the mass market, which I definitely think affects and brings the score up. So for what they were going for, I really think they nailed it, bringing it into a more mass market. My personal enjoyment, I'm going to come in at a 7 for this. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. But it's not one that I'm going to, I think me personally, I want more, out of a game. I am more of that hobby gamer kind of mindset. So, but I really respect what they're doing. I think there's a lot of good going on here, and I think that they really nailed what they were trying to do. The Spin Master were trying to do and bringing it down. Me personally, I just want a bigger, more options, more
and
kind
minis.
of stuff.
You like all the minis.
And I like all the minis and that kind of stuff. But this is awesome for what it's going for. So my personal score is a 7, with a lot of respect behind it.
What do you got?
So I think this is a game that I have a little bit of concern about the difficulty level of it, honestly, because again, this is going for, as we've mentioned, people that maybe aren't as much in the hobby gaming space. This is a difficult co-op. It's a difficult co-op to win. It's not necessarily difficult to understand.
Right.
And I do like that they scaled it down to 4 characters, whereas in Zombicide, you're playing 6.
You have to run 6.
You have to run 6.
Here you have to run 4. Right?
So that, I think, is a big improvement for what they were doing here. So as this distinct product, I'm also coming in at a 7 because I feel like it's one I can recommend, but I do have some concerns about, again, the difficulty of it, and is it going to be something that differentiates itself, from other cooperative games out there. If you're a huge fan of Zombicide, are you going to be, do you need to be a Marvel fan to like this? You know what I'm getting at? I don't love Zombicide. I don't love this game. The Marvel didn't add too much to it, I guess is what I'm getting at. So 7, I could recommend it, but I'm almost like, do I think people that are more likely to like it if they're Marvel fans or if they're Zombicide fans? I don't know. So I'm kind of on the fence.
I like both of those things. Well, that's not true. I like Zombicide games. I love Marvel stuff.
Okay.
I would say absolutely, without a doubt, being a Marvel fan is going to add to your enjoyment of this product. And we've talked a lot about how this is a mass market.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to tell you what I think of this product right here, whatever the market it's for. I really like it. Would I like more minis or a fancier edition of this? Yes, but that's true for a lot of games. There's a lot of games I would like more if they were fancier editions. The difference is we know this one is actually getting one.
Yes.
In other games, we don't know that. But it doesn't matter. This edition, I think, is very good. It's fun. 8 missions is a good amount of variety. The heroes included in here are fun, powerful, neat, put you in this world. I'm hyping it up too much. I'm not giving it that high a score. I'm coming in at an 8, okay?
All right.
It's really good. I will enjoy the nicer, fancier one when it comes out. Probably more than this, yes, to be honest. But I think this is really good stuff. I think they did a good job here. Nailing the feel, giving you a fun cinematic box that you can, sit down with some friends who are into one part of this or the other, or both ideally, and have a blast. So that is Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, and that's going to do it for us, everybody. That is a seal of approval, by the way, from all of us. And that's going to do it. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
I'm Mike Delisio.
We'll see you on the next one. Be careful out there on the streets. Zombies.